It's cold, freezing cold. Here are 3 ways to manage water that we can borrow from high-altitude climbers so that our liquid stays liquid and we stay hydrated. Hi there, I'm Jason. Last winter, I got a question from a viewer about how to manage our water systems in the freezing cold because, obviously, if our water freezes, we're not drinking it. Here's 3 methods that I, and many other high-altitude climbers, have used in extreme conditions, so that you can choose what might work best for how you climb and the temperatures you might be facing. The first option is simply using some kind of insulation with the bottle. This typically comes in one of 2 forms, either using a water bottle that has an insulating structure or using an insulating wrap around the bottle. The major downside of a bottle that is itself insulated is the container weight and size. We typically have an inner and outer wall, so roughly twice the weight, even if we are using the same material as our single-walled options. But then, if we are talking temperatures that go well below freezing, then we end up talking about more robust and heavier material choices, too. Because of the 2 walls, we also get a bigger container size compared to the amount of water the container will carry, so there is a volume penalty as well. An insulating parka doesn't have the weight penalty of heavier bottles. The parka typically weighs less than the second wall of a bottle, and it doesn't constrain the bottle's volume capacity. I will put my bottle in upside down. If any ice forms, it will form directionally upwards, and now at the bottom of the bottle rather than the mouth, so we can still drink. Where to put this can be a bit of an issue. Having it on the outside of the pack makes it more available, but potentially in the way on technical pursuits. Inside the pack means needing to stop and maybe anchor the pack every time we want a drink. And as things get supremely cold, the insulation may not be enough, which takes us to the next method, and maybe the most frequently seen method on the truly monster peaks: storing water bottles in the internal drop pockets of a jacket or summit suit. Here, it's all about our body heat keeping things liquid. It's maybe more convenient than a bottle parka due to its simple accessibility, especially with gloves. But now we have hard things stored over our hips or ribs, which could be bad news if we fall onto our chests. And even if we don't, it can be uncomfortable just when walking around, let alone when doing anything technical. Which takes us to our third option. Sometimes we might want to simply carry our stove and fuel so that we can melt snow whenever we need to. Obviously, this needs to be in the right circumstances, and I've seen it done in the extremes. On one extreme, it might be a very gradual climb, something more like a hike, and with minimal objective hazards. In that scenario, we might comfortably stop and brew as frequently as we'd like. Or I've seen it in the opposite extreme, technical climbing over multiple days when every ounce counts, so we don't want to carry too much weight in water on top of the fuel weight, and we also need breaks at appropriate stances because we've been working so hard. But we might not have water immediately on hand, and that is a major downside, of course. And on single-day trips, this might be overkill. Time is also a major downside, so if we have days that are already going to be lengthy, we don't want to add more time to them. So those are some general options, but of course we can combine 2 or all 3 methods. Also, we will almost always bring our water to a full boil before pouring it into the bottle for purification purposes, but also to lengthen the time until the water might freeze. Notice that a water bladder isn't on the list. The issue is often with the hose. Yes, we can insulate the bladder and the hose and blow any water in the tube back into the bladder after a drink, but those things only seem to go so far when we get into the truly deep cold. As for me, I use the insulated parka the most because it strikes what I think is a good balance between convenience without major weight penalties, even if it means putting it in my pack in technical sections. But once things get truly cold, I switch to drop pockets. How do you like to manage your water in the freezing cold? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can check out a related video on tips for keeping warm in a cold camp, or you can watch our entire winter-specific content series called Cold. We'll see you next week, and keep on getting more out of that big outside.